Hello! What is going on, guys? It's Irad. Long time no see, right? Long time no see. Well, today marks the return of Inside Star Citizen. It's the return of Irad as well. Haven't streamed for quite a while. I went to the hospital. I was sick, had a pretty serious stomach issue. Which after I came back from the hospital, I just couldn't live stream because I was going to the bathroom every 20 minutes. So it just was impossible. But I do feel better now. Sometimes a bit uncomfortable, but still good enough to have some live streams with you. And so today marks the return of Inside Star Citizen, and we are going to have a look at Lorville, which is going to get a revamp for, well, Star Citizen 3.19, which is already in Evocati. So here we go. Let's check it out right now. I just want to make sure that it's full screen. Yes, looks like it's okay. So let's check it out. If sound is not okay, please let me know in the chat.
In 2865,
hey, Jared, welcome
Hurston
back.
Dynamics purchased
cool
a planet
helmets, by
in
the
the
way.
Stanton system and began the process of looking for their capital. Being careful not to build on the resource-intense areas they bought the planet for in the first place. Because you gotta leave all that free for the mining, after all.
Yes.
Now, during that search,
I remember 3.5. That was the introduction of Lorville, and we were all blown away by this pretty landing zone, much bigger than Levski already, and very. We were all wondering, are we going to be able to go into those buildings? How is it going to expand? And it's finally happening. This is it. We're getting a revamp of Lorville. It's going to get ready for building interiors that they're working on, and it's just the next step to our life outside of starships in Star Citizen.
they designated one particular area already filled with structures that house the on-world workers by the three-letter designation LOR, an acronym for the rather dismissive title Local Occupational Residency.
Ah, and so Ville, meaning city in French, that's where the name Lorville came from. I see. That's pretty smart. I like
And
that.
after essentially requiring all of their workers to live there, because it makes it easier to keep an eye on everyone, the town eventually gathered an unofficial temporary nickname. And as anyone that's ever built something huge and complex can tell you, there are few things in life more permanent than an unofficial temporary nickname.
Oh, and what is it?
Now, eventually, the Hurston family made this the center of all commerce and
I
residence
like the
on the
lore that
planet.
we're having here at the,
And
front,
thus,
at the start.
Lorville continued to grow and expand and be built upon. And in the upcoming Alpha 319, it's taking its next major step forward towards becoming the thriving, brutalist cityscape old
That's
Solomon
awesome.
Hurston would be proud of.
Very good. I cannot wait for that. Apparently, I read that we're not going to have the Invictus launch fleet at Lorville. It's going to be at Area 18. These are the rumors out there. But I would love to see an aerospace expo back at Lorville this year with the new Lorville. It will be quite phenomenal. Plus, we haven't had an aerospace expo or any convention in game since I think it was like 2018, or 2019. So it's really been a very long time already and quite overdue. And I think that the new Lorville will really fit the role. Oh yeah! Oh wow! Look at this statue here. They put it
Well,
outside.
how would I describe Lorville to somebody who's never seen it?
Lots of crazy stuff happened there.
Lots of crazy stuff happens.
I don't know, man. It's very dusty. Definitely very dusty. Yeah.
I think
Oh,
it would be something as
yeah, it does look very dusty and hazy at the same time. That is true. Wow, I like that they've revisited the volumetric clouds, which look more realistic. Is that rain? Is that dust? Is that ash? Well, I guess we'll
a
see.
place that's very polluted. It would be a place that's very oppressive, but also pretty lively at the same time. People are working there day and night.
Lorville is essentially a mega city. It's sprawling, it's huge, and it's on a Stanton 1 planet inside the Stanton system.
That's good. Well, it wasn't very huge in its first iteration, but they have considerably expanded it for 3.19, which is why it's going to feel much bigger. I think we're going to look at the city that's going to be more on the scale of New Babbage than anything
The story
else.
of Lorville, I know that it was built by a company, a family business.
It's
Hurston.
ruled by the Hurston
That's how the
family,
Hurstons look like.
and it's a very authoritarian regime.
Place that's very expensive in the scale of it.
Reminds you a little bit of 1984, that kind of stuff, maybe.
Okay,
Also a
nice.
little bit of a Tyrell Corporation from Blade Runner.
Oh,
something like
yes.
that. That's what comes.
Yeah, that looks, especially that big Hurston building. Look at that, it's going into the clouds and breaking the clouds like this is so cool.
To my mind when I think of Lorville. Yeah.
Like, I like that they put some vegetation around the city. Looks like one of the gates of the city, which look very, again, very oppressive indeed. Interesting infrastructure.
So a landing zone like Lorville is a hub for the players. It has many services. There's the hubs, the habitations.
That we all know. Seems like they're pretty much the same.
From there, like they can spawn. There's.
I hope that the vendor will eventually work. Well, are we gonna have a coffee vendor there in the hubs, which would be very nice? Or at least can we buy some water or something like a little convenience store?
The hospitals. There's shops. There's
bar,
missions.
Well, I really... Oh, whoa. Landing on the pads there in the city. Are we finally going to have delivery missions and other type of activities in the city? We used to in the past. We used to have delivery missions, but they were all gone. I remember when we had city-to-city delivery missions, and they were pretty cool because you didn't need a ship. You could just pick up a package at the airport, drop it off at a gate, go to another gate, take a package, drop it off at the hub, and it was actually quite cool living the life of a courier inside the city. They removed that.
Obviously multiple areas and some new areas as well.
When you're arriving from your ship, the first thing you're gonna see is you're gonna see the CBD, of course.
Central Business District.
Yeah.
And this is where the Hurston family oversees the city.
There's the spaceport.
Tisa Spaceport.
Obviously has a lot of the transit line going to.
So yeah, it does. Quite a few, right? It has the transit line to the hubs, and it has also the transit line to the CBD.
You can also go to the L19, where there's obviously some residential.
Leading up from like the center.
Seems like they have reviewed the tracks, and it looks more visually appealing, I suppose. That we can definitely tell these are the tracks. Still 2 lines, right? I don't think that we're gonna have more than 2 lines, but I wonder why there are extra tracks here. Is it gonna be like branching in and out?
We have like those transit lines that are like going in different directions from the center of the city, and from there's many districts inside the inner city. In the inner city, we represent the different classes.
Yes, and we started with the workers district ever since, right? But I was always curious, and that's something I've always said, right? Are we gonna have more districts? Are we gonna have executive district? Are we gonna have the managers district?
Residents of Lorville. There's areas where there's more wealth. These are like higher up top, and they have like gold cladding on their buildings. And we have like lower areas that are like closer to the industrial areas, and it's mainly residential and commercial. We have like lots of opportunities for branding. The branding comes mainly from
looks like these are going to be local brands, right? Queen's-Tech here, they make the armor for the Lorville Special Forces. Hurston Group Insurance. So funny. So it looks like the family business is branching out into not just weapons.
Nicolas Fortin's team. So we partnered with them, and they come up like with new brands. In turn, the environment art team helped to integrate those into billboards and holograms throughout the city.
They did a great job. I like the monocle thing.
So the areas
That's
like the
CBD,
the L19 at the spaceport, you're all familiar with. These haven't changed. They just moved us slightly because they were already up to a quality that still works today. And what we've worked on is the connecting tissue between those to make like the city feel actually the big size compared to what it was.
Yeah, it definitely looks much bigger in terms of scale and cityscape. It looks much deeper. It definitely looks like there's more going on.
Buildings are now much higher, but you're also going to see how the city now extends further away. A little bit like tentacles.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. This is much bigger indeed. That's how it is now, right? Work in progress. Yeah. Look at how far it goes. And these are probably some industrial areas around the city. I wonder if these are, metro lines that go all the way there as well.
and it spreads out into those smaller islands. We call them islands.
Yeah.
Those are the industrial islands. Let's say you start from the spaceport and you want to travel outside towards the industrial islands. First of all, they're much further away, but they're still connected. You know, they connected using pipelines from the city to the outskirts.
Okay, so pipelines.
And once you get to the industrial islands, you can see, you know, it's filled with chimneys, lots of activities happening there. It really shows, you know.
But is it going to be interactable?
The might that
Are there
is
going to be missions there?
Hurston Dynamics and the Hurston family itself. Yeah, I think that's a good answer.
Hurston defends the Empire.
So making Lorville was not like a straight line. There was many like challenges, and we didn't really have expectations of what we could achieve or not achieve. We just went with our feelings. What kind of city we wanted to build, basically.
I love the haze.
You know,
I love the
we tried
pollution
to
around.
create a certain variety of colors inside the city, but overall it remains pretty gray. But at the same time, it's also pretty dusty. You know, it reflects the pollution, how industrial.
Yeah, it should.
The city
They're
is.
doing a great job.
And in the end, like we're just like driving that point that it's like heavily polluted, or authoritarian, and that it's in everything we do.
For light and life.
Lighting is very important.
Oh, we're gonna see a little bit of
you're coming to a
lighting there.
location
Okay.
where one of the last part that the artist will do, it really brings the life to
Now that's really important. We all know Star Citizen is the screenshot simulator, and they want to have some nice looking vistas so that we can live stream that and people say, oh wow, this looks so cool. And it's important, you know, it's part of the Star Citizen experience as well. Being immersed is in a place that is as photorealistic and immersive as possible. That's the reason why we're back in this game.
all the previous work
And I
that the
think that
environmental
Lorville did
artist
need
did.
an update.
Lighting drives the eye. It makes us look at
There we
places,
go.
and it
There
just
we
like enhances the contrasts.
Maxim got it.
We
Maxim
we
gets
get
it.
like a whole better look through that lighting.
The lighting really, it brings in the whole atmosphere. And during the night, we want to bring that feeling of liveliness to the city.
Yeah, night is pretty badass with all the new buildings, the taller buildings, the windows, and everything.
It gets a little bit of a New Babbage vibes, a little bit, you know, those lights, the metros a little bit. They definitely took a little bit from the book of New Babbage, but made it a little bit more gritty and industrial. But still, I still miss the old buildings that we had from the original demo that we had for Arcorp a long time ago that eventually made it to Lorville. All of that is gone. They completely changed everything. And it feels more like what we're seeing in other planets as well. So kind of makes, I mean, it looks great. They're doing a great job. But at the same time, there's something inside me that makes me feel like Lorville doesn't feel as unique as it was.
Little red
right?
lights, blinking red lights across the city. As a player, when you come in and you see these giant structures, but also these little lights, it really shows, you know, okay, this is a really big building. Try to put a lot of small details, small elements like street lights, containers, also a little bit of some pathways for vehicles to move.
Yeah, I like these little pathways here. I wonder if we're gonna be able to race under those. That would be pretty cool. Pretty dangerous, but pretty rewarding if
For
successful.
vehicles to move around. That really helps to solidify the idea that, you know, this is a giant city, giant facilities that are being built inside the city. And yeah, it's huge.
There's a lot of different viewpoints right now, so you'll be able.
I suppose that's probably one of those new districts that they were talking about, because before we used to be in the workers district. It's probably one of the managers district here. It doesn't have the gold plating, but still looks much more upscale with all those lights there. I hope that we can have a hab eventually. One day we're going to be able to have our own habs. If we pay a better fee, a higher fee, maybe we'll be able to get an upgrade on our hab and go to those more luxurious
able
places.
to appreciate it from a lot of different distances and viewpoints, even if you're far away.
Still a very bustling city, lots of activities happening. You can also see people taking the train, the transit to move around the city.
Is it working now? Because NPCs would not do that before. Can they do it in Star Citizen 3.19, which is something that they've been talking about in the monthly reports, right? Oh, NPCs can now take the tram. We're working on making NPCs take the tram. Can they do it in 3.19? Looks like you said they can.
You know, get from their hubs to their workplace.
Oh, beggars.
The lighting on the transit line has been really, really improved. You'll have a lot more to see when you're going through these different lines. And I think it's going to be very exciting.
It's not just the lights in the city.
Video coming up, guys. Video coming up. the sides of the city from the metro. That's what I did back in 3.3.5. It's going to be another one in 3.19.
But also the industrial islands, even though they're a bit further away, they have these giant, I call them cauldrons. It's like burning some sort of material. It's very orangey. It glows a lot. I think you can actually see them from outer space. Lighting at night with those cauldrons. It's really amazing looking.
Oh wow, very Star Warsy indeed.
The atmosphere is really important as well. It gives like the depth that we need inside the city. It makes things like feel believable, and like it adds this layer of realism.
Lorville during the
looks
day
like
is
things are happening.
very, very polluted, obviously. So when you get into the city, there are very thick layer of clouds. And when you get through these clouds, it's like getting into a new world, in a different world. They cover the top of the building. It's very impressive.
The layer of clouds definitely looks much thicker than what it is. And I like the fact that the clouds do hide a little bit what's under it. So you kind of think, oh yeah, it's polluted, some clouds, a bit cloudy, and then you realize when they're in that these clouds are not natural clouds. And you're like, oh my god, I can only imagine the face of a new player who's never experienced Star Citizen before and who gets to visit Lorville for the first time from space, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna visit this city, and then they're like, wow, this place is so oppressive.
Really, really kind of put that finish on the daylighting.
Sunlight doesn't actually always touch the ground, Everything's a little bit in the shade because of the smoke, the smog, the atmosphere. It's so thick, you can't really see into the horizon, how many buildings is there,
And that's great because it really emphasizes here the sense of scale and how large the city is. Something that felt a bit off in the original Lorville because it wasn't so big and we didn't have the volumetric clouds at first, and even if we still do, there's that sense of fog is still not there, so you can still see outside of the city when you're in the city, and that's something that they are getting rid of in 3.19.
It's pretty claustrophobic, even though it's a giant city, but if you look really far away, you can't really see where it ends because of the atmosphere.
Chris did a great job on the atmosphere, and it looks very, very unhealthy, I would say, to be there in that atmosphere for very long.
VFX, they did a great job with especially the chimneys, the amounts of smoke that the industrial zones are creating. It really emphasizes the pollution aspect to how they do business in Hurston. Lighting definitely with the new atmosphere.
How they do business in Hurston. It's business first, only make money, that's it. Yo, Anarchy Burger, how are you doing, man? Nice to see you today, Anarchy Burger. Shout out to you, Anarchy Burger, for the wonderful animations that we are using here for the stream. You are awesome, and thank you again for everything.
It looks really much different, and it really showcases the ominous feeling of the city.
The whole composition of the city works through with lighting, just hand in hand. Without lighting,
definitely. Without lighting, it wouldn't feel like. You need to have those shadows of the light being blocked by those cities, so that it really reinforces here the oppressive nature of the town.
Flat.
And I think that they probably learned also how clouds work with Origin as well. Is that some kind of docks that we have here? Because it looks like a body of water there. Is the city going as far as the nearby sea so that there's actually a dock? Because that's what it looks like. And we didn't have a dock before.
So it's very important in that process to bring kind of the final look, to bring it alive from what the concept art originally kind of said about the location.
Yeah. And the current Lorville is about 20-30 kilometers away from the sea, but now it goes deep in. It goes into the sea. That's how big it is. Didn't realize that. it's going to have it's always going to have this kind of brownish atmosphere. That's the city where the sky is never blue here.
The biggest change
It's
from
always-
the
it's
old
always
Lorville
a
to
bad
the
day
new
here at Lorville.
is the scale of those buildings, and they feel much more integrated, lifelike as a city. And that was one of
Okay, all right. This is where that's the old Lorville, right? Because I don't recognize the new buildings. These are the old buildings.
the reasons at the beginning why we wanted to.
There we go. That is the new Lorville. And yeah, you can definitely tell that the buildings are much bigger than before. Look at that. Before. And look at the scale of those buildings. They're so tiny. They're so tiny compared to
Why
how
we
they are
wanted to-
now. It's like the size of at least doubles, if not quadruple, for those massive buildings over there. Yeah, they were not lying. And I think that the reason for that is because when they first built Lorville, they didn't imagine they would be building interiors, but they had to redo those buildings so that we could eventually go inside and then they could procedurally create the interiors of those buildings. But they need to be the right size for that, otherwise it would just feel very weird. You go to floor number 5 and it looks like it's the top of the building, right? The building that looks like it has 20 or 30 floors on the outside. So that's why they had to redo that.
To change Lorville was to get like that proper scale throughout the city, and that feeling that basically can make you feel like it's.
I like how we see how the city expanded
making the
between the
buildings
old
at
and
the
the
correct
new.
scale.
Yes.
Can enable us later to create interiors for those
There you go. And that's the first time I watched the episode. I haven't watched it yet. See, Irad knows everything.
buildings, and so in that sense, Lorville will be ready for that. Getting close to the city, like especially while flying, like the feeling.
This is very cool.
It's just
And
so
again,
great.
I don't know if you remember back in those days, 2018, 2019, we were told, oh no, you cannot fly inside the city. The city is not made for that. It just looks ugly. It wouldn't be great. It would be bad for performance and so on. And now we can. They redid Lorville, and now we can do that. This was our fantasy, and it's all becoming a reality. And that's really something that I'm also looking forward to. Flying between the buildings, having this kind of Coruscant vibe.
We've lowered the restricted zone as much as we can, and we can really get close to the buildings now. The size of those windows are like true to real life size
Nice.
of windows. The scale of things feels like really good.
Level design
Which is why now we can fly around, because it doesn't look very weird.
definitely also plays a role inside the city. We try to make sure that players, if they want to fly their ship around buildings or into some of these areas that we call trenches, level design reminded us to, keep some openings so that players can move around them easily. On our side, we also made sure that you can
There we go, we
navigate
can go
in
under
some of
those.
those structures, those trenches. You can
And
do
racing
slaloms
is going to
over
be-
around those pipelines.
Racing is going to be
and,
insane.
Maybe some of those areas could become potential racetracks for the
There we
future.
go.
Lorville will have like racing opportunities, I think, because now there's like tunnels, there's cranes, there's sky bridges, there's like big straddle frames, and these can create target points for basically for racing.
Where you can go between the buildings or inside the buildings as well. Oh, I cannot wait! When are we gonna have PTU Wave 1? I mean, it's
For
Evo
me, the
getting patch
greatest thing
C
was
by the
seeing
time I'm
the
making this
team
video.
come together and pitch ideas and deliver on those challenges and those ideas.
It's been a lot of work from every department, and especially in lighting, I think it's been a big project that we've worked on. And
but they are
there's so
ahead
much
of schedule.
details that's been
But they are ahead of schedule, and that's the beautiful thing. They're also ahead of schedule, so they've been working a lot, but they've been working also efficiently as well, so that we can benefit from this revamp of Lorville ahead of what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be coming for Alpha 4.0. It's coming in 3.19.
put on every one of these areas, and I think I'll be really excited to see how people react to this. I think it's something that people have been expecting for a long time.
I think for
Yes.
the player, the fact that we can go around these areas, whether it's land vehicles or,
Yeah, but what are we going to do there? I hope it's not just going to be deliveries.
we're using spaceships, fly around these structures. I think it's going to be a good experience, yeah.
I hope the players appreciate the new Lorville, just the sheer scale and that it
looks
feels
phenomenal.
like
Look at that. We can look at how it looks like from space, from Everest Arbor. Definitely looks like a huge mole on the planet's surface. There are definitely more clouds than before too. Yeah, they've definitely updated the
you
volume
can
of the
see
clouds in the
Lorville
city.
from Everest station, so it makes it like a big impact, I think. And I hope that the players notice.
We will, Maxime.
So, what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that a landing zone is more than just the three-dimensional
I
geo that
love those
forms
helmets.
it. It's that confluence where narrative, level design, branding, lighting, and atmospheric artistry meet commerce, residence, and a foundation for future gameplay opportunities like
Yes.
racing, mission interiors, and more. And that this newest evolution of Lorville is scheduled to make its way to you in next month's Alpha 319.
Next month, coming up in April, coming up in May, sorry, there we go. So yeah, the quarter 2 patch is going to be quite early compared to what we normally have. That's awesome.
No shave till 319.
No shave until 319.
For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for exploring the process of game development with us, and we'll see you all here next week.
All right, well, looking forward to it, Jared. Thank you so much for watching here on the second channel, guys, and those of you who came for the live stream. Now we are going to play some Star Citizen, shall we?